Two raiders plumb the depths of their experience to make sense of a world gone completely insane. Subscribe for the word. Like and leave a comment. Stranger by the Hour.
Welcome back to Stranger by the Hour, everybody. Episode 155 on June 6th. 2025 is the year of our Lord. And this evening, we're going to be joined by the homie to chop it up, Trevor Dustin. Trevor, Renaissance man, stand-up comedian, band member, fucking stone-faced gunfighter. So it's going to be good, man. We're going to talk about a lot of weird shit and have a good time.
Oh, hold the fort. You do stand-up?
Did stand-up. I haven't in a minute.
But you've done it.
Yeah, dude, I did it for maybe 8-9 years.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely past the open micer level and shit, right?
Yeah, I was not successful, obviously, otherwise I'd still be doing it. But I was definitely on the road and getting paid, and at some point I just kind of fell out of love with it. Is really what the story.
I think, was. Dude, I've love stand up, but starting when kind of during COVID, I think is when I really noticed it or whatever. But there's a handful of dudes that I think that have integrity. But you really saw what most of these comics were about during all that COVID shit.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just asking, were you still doing were you still doing comedy when COVID kicked off?
No, I had quit shortly before. A lot of the shit that you guys probably clocked during COVID, as far as just people kind of getting fucking lame, was starting to happen with the comedy scene probably 2017, 2018. And I would do a lot of shit kind of ripping on the military and ripping on the Bush administration. And I would have ladies coming up to me screaming about how their cousin or whoever the fuck was the troops, hey,
yeah, how dare you
dishonor his memory.
Yeah, and I was like, lady, I was there too, and it wasn't like I was being mean. I was just saying what's up. One of my deals was talking about Bush and how that guy had a C average and he tricked me into going and fighting in Iraq, so it doesn't say a whole lot about me. And it was better in context as I was saying the fucking joke. But
no, I say that all the time, man. I try not to be too hard on people when they fall for scams because like you just said, man, I got told a fishtail and I ended up cutting fucking wires with my bare hands, dude.
Right. Yeah. That whole we got to go get them in their backyard or they're going to get us in ours, and you end up over there.
They hate you for your freedoms. Yeah. I anymore, I don't pay as much attention to stand up as I used to. I used to when I was in Southern California, I'd go to stand up shows all the time, and even local, there's a couple places in San Clemente they would have a open mic or stuff. I would go all the time. It was me and my wife at the time were super into it, but they seem to have lost their nuts for the most part, and it's there's so much money once all the stand-ups became podcasters. And they've turned it into such a huge business. It's they don't take they don't take risks, and it's just kind of lame. But I'll always love Norm Macdonald and Patrice O'Neill. Those guys are, as far as I'm concerned, that's what it is. To me, when I think of stand up, those are the guys right there.
Yeah, and not nobody. I shouldn't say that. There's Tim Dillon's out there doing shit.
I like Tim Dillon a lot. Yeah,
I do. But for the most part, man, not only did I fall out of love with doing it, I don't even really watch it anymore. I'll watch Tim Dillon stuff or that other guy. I can't think of his name, but he's got that TV show on Netflix, Tires or something.
Tires? Shane Gillis. He's
Shane
good.
Gillis, yeah. He seems like he's legit, but as far as just going to stand-up anymore, I don't. And I got friends that open comedy clubs here in town, and I barely even go.
Yeah.
You're in that now?
What's that?
Are you still in Fresno?
No, I'm in Bakersfield.
Okay.
I got to go up to Fresno tomorrow though with the band, but
that's right, man. So you're playing in the band tomorrow. So what are you guys playing?
It's some kind of festival thing they're putting on at a brewery up there. I don't know much about it. I think it's like the first or second time they're doing it, but they got multiple stages and it's like an all day thing. So we'll check it out and see what's up.
What kind of music is it? And is it online so you can plug it and people can check it out?
Yeah. The band's called Culture Machine. We get ripped on for the name all the time, so it's all good. But it's on. We got stuff on iTunes, Spotify, all that shit. We're working. We were just in the studio last weekend, laying down some more tracks for some more songs that we're gonna put out, and it's basically been like we're not, pushing any envelopes or anything. It's not. It's just kind of like dad rock.
Okay.
Just kind of.
When you say dad rock, that kind of depends on the, you know what I mean? Like, do you mean like classic rock type rock or?
I mean like what kids today would consider dad rock. So we're kind of
okay.
Like Soundgarden, Foo Fighters, Alice in Chains.
Oh, okay, sick.
Shit.
All right.
Dude, kids today are drinking lean and they got purses. What the fuck do they know?
Yeah, right.
They don't know shit.
I'm saying
they don't know. They don't know shit.
It's like auto tune and like a kazoo today.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, guys, if you could stay leaned in a little bit towards your mic, because those things don't pick up. They're not full duplex mics or whatever. So, dude, speaking of music, might as well fucking get into weird shit. Like, I've kind of been off of all the psychedelic stuff for a while, but I'll just every once in a while, like I'll get this inkling. It's usually when I'm trying to figure something out, in my life. I'll be like stuck, and I had the inkling that I should eat some mushroom chocolates. And this has happened to me before, in the most fortuitous way. So, nothing else really positive came of the experience except the following. So I'll get loaded up on those things, and generally I'll just start listening to music, and one of two things will happen. I'll kind of spin off into some, epiphanous thinking adventure, and I'll figure some stuff out, or I'll just get super into the music. And I fell into a Van Morrison wormhole, dude. And so I've always liked Van Morrison, but I wasn't real deep into his catalog. Okay, I like, Into the Mystic and this kind of shit, like a bunch of his songs that people kind of know of. But the algorithm on iTunes Music just sent me into this wormhole of Van Morrison. I had no idea how much metaphysical language and stuff's embedded in his music. And so I'm kind of, not fully on a 7-gram, adventure, but I'm pretty in the universe. And dude, and I start having a synesthesia type experience with the Van Morrison. So I'm, if you've ever experienced that, where you're seeing the sounds, so you're hearing the sounds, but I'm also seeing the sounds. And dude, it's one of the coolest thing that's happened to me in years. I'm now a psycho on Van Morrison music. Dude, you get into the lyrics and shit, and I don't know, this just sounds like a rambling of a madman, but if anybody's at all inclined to listen to Van Morrison, go into his deep tracks and inebriate yourself and get into his deep tracks. That's my advice.
Yeah, dude. I love it, man. Those fucking things, man. Those no bullshit. That shit saved my life, man. Those little mushrooms, dude.
Yeah.
I was in some dark shit, and messing with those things kind of unfucked my brain, basically.
Yeah, same here.
Same, dude. It cured me of my crippling atheism, for one thing, which people tend to go one way or the other with that. And I went in a kind of a weird way, not just mushrooms, but dude, I was, Cody knows, man, LSD, ayahuasca, ketamine. I was kind of, not just frivolously. I was doing it in an exploratory way, experimenting with the stuff and taking it kind of seriously or whatever. But what it led to ultimately was I would like have these experiences, and when you guys know what I'm talking about, where I'm like, I have gone somewhere, and you can't hand wave it away as a hallucination. I'm like, no, that I didn't hallucinate. I didn't hallucinate that I just solved a bunch of problems in my like relationships in my life, or these things are not hallucinations, and so that just caused me to like, for the first time ever, my whole life, I'm just like, you just die. It's all deterministic. There's nothing else going on. Well, that became impossible to believe anymore. And so that just leads into, further investigation. And that definitely, saved me from other alternatives, which should have been less good.
Yeah. It's funny because I've never actually gone that deep or that, I don't know, metaphysical or having that kind of epiphany. For me, it's always been like, like what you're saying with listening to music, or I'll end up just like staring at the bathroom mirror and giggling while I
yeah.
demons and shit. And for whatever with my stupid brain, like that's enough. like that worked.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's probably doing stuff behind the scenes that you're not fully conscious of. You know what I mean? So you're getting help from it, but you're not. It's not explicit.
Yeah. Well, then I've had the ones where just 5 hours. I think those are also plenty useful.
What is that?
I've also had the ones where you just cry for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And
it's about 50-50 for me between crying for the entire time and like, I always learn something. That's and what I found is different substances have different sort of like conversational tones, right? So like to me, the mushroom is like it has something to tell me, and it's not super interested in what I have to say about it. It's like you're like I'm along for its ride. Where ayahuasca is more like a conversational. In my experience, like it almost, I guess, easier to bypass things you don't want to deal with. Whereas like with the psilocybin, it's like, you don't get a vote. We're gonna deal with this for 6 hours, and that's and then at the end of it, a cool little giggle or something like that,
Right.
Dude, I used to be. I wouldn't say I like push it on people, but I would always like want to talk about it with people, especially like my veteran buddies and stuff. Kind of, like trying to get people interested in it, and I've stopped that. I'm reticent to really even talk about it that much at all because I do think that there is a danger to it. Like I think that and this is just because of my current spiritual beliefs. I believe that you can open yourself up to. I think when you like vacate yourself in any way, you leave space for stuff to come in, and especially with the psychedelics, you vacate like levels of yourself that you're opening a door and you're not 100% sure what's going to come into it. I've literally never had any negative experience, but I've just read enough and know enough people that have that I'm like, dude, there's people that kind of open themselves up to a bad trip, and then it's like not just a bad trip, it's something that rides with them for like a long time going forward. Like so I just caution, I'm just kind of, that's why I'm not as vocal about it as I used to be. But
well, everything is basically dual-edged technology, man. Weed is dual-edged technology because you can be a high-performing individual, and weed is like, okay, I can finally go to sleep now. My brain's not running at 10,000 miles an hour, or I'm not an anxious asshole about every single thing But if you're not a high-functioning individual, and you just jump right to weed, and now all of a sudden you're a fucking couch potato and you're doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's one of those things where I think the game masters of this realm understand that a certain amount of people are going to be able to like power through this positive in a positive way, and then they are going to catch a few people, and that's enough for them. If I can, every way I can just shave a couple motherfuckers off, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. And it's like, any of these inebriants or whatever like that, like alcohol, no different. You're with the weed and the alcohol, if people are using it to, a lot of people are trying to just shut the processing off so they can rest or sleep or get some respite from the constant, negative chattering. But it's like, dude, at some point you have to deal with it in a way to shut it off at its source. You can't just keep like pushing it, because that's not gonna work forever. So this is like the Jungian shadow work stuff. You have to confront these things and get through them.
Yeah, it's like it pressurizes it. Like you throw shit on top of it, and then you're just giving it more compaction so that when it explodes, it's kind of worse than what it would be if you just addressed it in the first place.
Yeah. That's like, there's a couple of people like still, it's kind of constant. And I know you guys have the same thing, but it's like, if you're in the veteran community, in which that just means you were in the military and a bunch of veteran people, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not like in the veteran community, but I just know a bunch of veterans, and it's like
not part of the veteran cinematic universe over here.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, at any given time, someone in your circle is, you're getting messages from other people saying, hey, this guy's not doing good. Or you find out, hey, this guy just smoked himself or whatever. And that's obviously like, it's kind of talked about to death, but like, there's something very specific about the wartime experience that makes it difficult for you to like, to snap back into this life.
Yeah.
And this is, I mean, I'm sure you guys think about it a lot too, but like you were talking about like the stuff with Bush and everything. And I went through and I'm still like, I agree. Like I fully agree with anybody that's like, hey, those wars were illegal, immoral, waged under false pretenses. We were manipulated, propagandized into doing it. I've said as much millions of times on this show. But part of me like making peace with all that stuff is like I've just become very like, I don't think selfish is the word, but like myopic. Like I see it all through the lens of my personal experience, and it's like I don't care at all that those things happened in that way, because I'm very focused on what I could pull from all those experiences to assist me now to
yeah, I agree with everything you said.
So it's like, it's like kind of like the joke's on them. The way I see it now is it's because it's like, no, the all those experiences are why I'm not falling for the okie doke right now. Like I think all of that prepared me for what's coming in the future.
I couldn't have. I don't think I could fully appreciate the way I appreciate the world now if I had not had those experiences, because I wouldn't have had the firsthand knowledge of the thing. I wouldn't have saw the fraud like at face value. I would have just heard the stories like, oh, well, I mean, I guess the government says there's bad guys over there, so like the fact that I was able to see it firsthand, I think prepped me for this time in my life. And then secondly, well, I guess two more things is like, one, we met people like, or I met people like you two, two of the coolest motherfuckers I've ever met in my life, And then the third thing is, something about yourself, man. A lot of people are walking around without confidence, without the ability to take a stand on anything, without knowing in their heart, like, no. When I put my foot down and draw the line in the sand, I don't care what's on the other side. Like they don't have that within them. And we all got that at various stages.
There's the inverse of that, where there's people running around that have all the confidence in the world, but they have no physicality or skill set to back it up. And it's like they come talking that shit, and it's like, dude, I could kill your fucking cat, dude. Like, don't, you're lucky that we have this veneer of society intact still, because as soon as that's gone, dude, you're getting fucking strapped to the hood of somebody's like hot rod, and they're gonna drive you around.
Well, dude, that's probably a good segue into whatever Aaron's got queued up on the doom scroll, man. Like, because I think I don't know, man. Like, I'll kind of kick it like this. I think it comes from being a bomb guy that I'm always like looking at the system to figure out like what the switches and detonators and power sources and shit are, And so this AI thing, man, I think on here I've probably shit on it a lot but like having like looked at it a couple times now and used it at work, I'm like, man, this ain't good, boys. And so, I think probably within this Olympiad, this 4-year period of time with Trump in office, man, I think this AI thing is probably going to decimate the professional managerial class. And that group of people is what is propping up the housing market, the trades market, the entertainment market.
Yeah, the whole fire sector that isn't real and is built on usury is going to go under. And any white collar person that sits at a desk all day, you're done. Better learn to weld.
Yeah, better get a, and then even that your days are kind of numbered. Like they're not going to stop with the the managerial jobs, and I think that man, what a ride all these MAGA people are on. Like it's thank God, because early on, like it's not like me and Cody have a crystal ball exactly, so it's like we were kind of pro Trump, not to the extent where I like would go vote, but like, allowed a little bit of hopium to creep in or whatever. But now I see like, I forget like Trump's a character, whatever. This whole thing with him and Musk, maybe it's real, maybe it's not. But the point is, here's the check on yourself, right? Here's how you check where you're at in reality. If you actually, you got to like think, breathe into it, like calm down and just try to gauge how you really feel about it. But if you really care that Musk and Trump are breaking up, or if you really have anxiety about wondering whether it's real or whether it's some sort of scripted thing or whatever, that's where you're already wrong to begin with, right? Like you should already be at the position of a detached like third party observer. You know what I mean? Like you're looking into an aquarium, you know what I mean? Like this is your perspective. Like you're not in there, swimming in fish shit. You're now we talk about this all the time. Like it's not that you can't be affected by what's going on. Like obviously there's cascading effects of all these things that could affect you. But if you are in it to the point where like, you're arguing with people in your personal life about it, or you actually care, what's going on with those guys, then you're already too deep in it for your own safety. Like you're not in a proper position to do the pragmatic things you're going to need to do, if anything's doable at all. Like I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, yeah, you should be making, you should be preparing yourself for disruption in services. You should be reducing your dependence on these systems. You should be, grabbing some land and figuring out how to secure it. You should be networking with like-minded people for mutual support and all that shit. But it's entirely possible that none of that's even going to matter too. Like, and so then you prepare for that. And then all you really can do is prepare yourself like spiritually and physically.
Yeah. Essentially have a plan that you're executing regardless of what the opposition might be executing. Yeah. And then just stay flexible, man. I mean, that's the way I look at it, is like, it's gonna be weird watching it play out. I'm interested to see, like, if there's what positive uses come out from this AI. I mean, it's well,
one of the ways that these technocrats spin it, because people are slow to wake up, but they're like, oh my God, what's going to happen, when all these jobs go away and XYZ. And so what the common retort from these people is like, well, you won't need them. We're going to put people on a universal basic income. It's not going to matter because you're going to be, people are going to be kept solvent via, other means. And it's like, but that's not the full reason why people work. You know what I mean? People don't just work so they get Babylonian credit squares so they can fucking buy milk and cheese. You know what I mean? Like, part of being alive is like, hopefully best case scenario is you have some sort of gift, some sort of God-given gift or universal given gift or whatever. And then you find a way to share that gift with other people, and then you're compensated. Like that's optimum, right? Like but even if you can't do that, people get a lot of satisfaction and value out of working and providing for their family and things like this. If you take that away from people, you can't just expect people, you can't just give them, a stipend every month or whatever and let them sit there and whack off on OnlyFans. Like that's it's not sustainable,
Well, they tried to take the family away first, and that hasn't quite worked entirely. So now it's like they're coming in from the other end. Now they're trying to take your work away and extract meaning from you in that form. Have you guys looked at the like all the little like pork barrel shit in the big bullshit bill that Trump's all
the big beautiful bill? No, I haven't looked into it in detail. You know any of the details about it?
Little bit. One of the since we're talking about AI, one of the provisions is to make it so that states can't legislate anything to do with AI. And you couple it out with what's going on with old fuckface from Palantir,
Peter Thiel. Yeah, Palantir.
Yeah, like, oh, I see what you're doing, dude. Like you.
Yeah, it's like for a decade. You can't do anything about AI for like a decade.
Yeah, while they suck up all your info and make all their like Minority Report fucking predictions about whether you're going to snap or not, or
So their priorities are to make it illegal to say anything about Jews or Israel, and illegal to say anything about AI. That's fantastic. You can't legislate against Israel or AI. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, since you said it, man, like, isn't the AI just the golem? Isn't it just the automaton that they've always been trying to build? Isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It is a golem. It is the golem, and you said the operative word that they're trying to build. Like, I am not as confident as these creeps are in their technology. Like, I know it's powerful. I use it at work. I continue to be amazed. Like we're in the middle of stuff right now where we're kind of innovating on, integrating these AI learning models into like our other workflow and stuff. And like, yeah, I obviously see the power in it, but I also know that it's not alive. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like with their spiritual preparation, they're going to be very, very persuasive and convincing. And many people, maybe most people are going to, whether they consciously and explicitly do it, they're going to treat this thing like it's a deity. They might not admit it out loud, but they will, in the same way that these, like most people, they're not really atheists, even if they say they are, they worship something. And most people, it's mammon, it's money, or it's status, or it's like their own anxiety and fear. Everybody is subordinate to some higher order thing. So people, once the power of this thing is demonstrated in people's lives, they're going to, dude, look at the boomers, man. Like they can't even protect themselves from a video. Dude, any boomer thinks any video they ever see is real. They don't have the power to use discernment against it. Like if it's on a screen, it's real. You know what I mean? And so, dude, they're going to be cooked. People are. You're going to have to work very hard to keep your own status as a human in the face of this stuff.
It's funny that you were talking about kind of how maybe a little bullshitty the technology is, because I literally, like, maybe an hour or two ago I was reading, and I didn't fact check it or anything, but it was an article talking about how there was this AI put out by Microsoft and everybody thought it was all badass or whatever, and then it turned out to just be 700 Indians, like
yeah. No, it's true. It's true. 700 Pajeets, dude.
Yeah, it wasn't like Fresh Market or Amazon doing that as well, where like you could just walk in and grab something, but it was like literally people watching CCTVs.
It was literally, people. Yep.
Sriracha.
So yeah, there is a little bit of showmanship that they do with this stuff, and they're all in competition with one another to like have the best AI and stuff. But that language model stuff's going to improve, and they're going to start pairing it with, robotics. Or they already do, but I mean that's really going to take off. But while all the MAGA people are, in a meltdown because mommy and daddy are getting divorced, at the same time that's happening, the government is making these huge contracts with Palantir, and dude, Palantir. It's been years since I used it, but I use Palantir frequently in my ditcher job. For the specific purpose of it's a data aggregator that we were using to find people so that we could kill them. That's what we used Palantir for. That's what its purpose was, right? And so this is the same software. It's just vastly improved. And the swaths of data that these guys, that's why Musk bought Twitter. He bought Twitter to get all that data, And so, and I think that, again, who knows what's real and what's not with their little kabuki theater thing with their breakup, but what's really happening is, dude, go watch. I mean, I have some, but it's it's not even probably worth queuing up and playing, but you can watch Peter Thiel, get interviewed, and dude, he's a sweaty, psychotic, malevolent homosexual who has bad intent. He's not but just use your discernment. Take a breath. Look at him, be a human being looking at another human being, use your discernment and tell me if it's not obvious to you that this guy's malevolent. Yeah, but man, that doesn't, most people, this is what I'm talking about. You got to prepare yourself. Right. And so most people, you could say, look at that guy. He's obviously malevolent or bad or whatever. And they go, well, in their paradigm, it's no, I need evidence. I need it proven to me that he's somehow bad, right? Because they don't trust their discernment. They don't trust their experience as a human being. Dude, you're wired for that shit. You are wired to identify threats.
People get they get beat over the head with these certain little snippets of scientific. The scientific method, right? Where, the idea is you're going in to do this thing and you need to remove bias and be impartial, and they'll take these snippets of it and then apply them wrongly in the real world. And I think that's the thing of that, where it's well, we need evidence. And it's okay, man, first of all, these dudes are so insanely deep behind the scenes that even if there was evidence, which I'm sure there is, you're not going to get it. It's just too buried.
No, there's no. And
that was kind of the thing with Trump, where I've got some buddies that are everything he does that's wrong, they can spot it, and they're so highly attuned to spotting it at him, but then they just don't see anything in Biden. And it's well, where's the evidence? And it's well, here's the evidence. And what they really mean is, where's the proof? Where's the red-handed, show me, a picture of him slipping a digi into a kid, and, even that won't be good enough.
Dude, I understand why people can't use deduction, right? The old, you can tell a tree by the fruit that it bears. The fruit that Peter Thiel bears is a way to surveil all of your purchases through the PayPal mafia. It's like Aaron just said, Palantir, which is every person in the Lord of the Rings that had a Palantir was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And where did the Palantir go? It shot to the big bad guy with the big eye that, dude, that was your gateway to Satan.
That's another clue. Okay. So again, this is the other thing people don't engage with the reality as it's presented to you. You get shown all of the time. It's them, whoever's doing it, or reality itself. It's their way of communicating with you. So in the same way that it's the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, is an actor, a comedic actor. He was playing the role of president before he was the president. Okay, so that's a clue. He's an actor. Donald Trump had one of the most successful television shows of all time. I watched him body slam Vince McMahon. He's a pro wrestler and an actor. That's real, right? Palantir, Peter Thiel, he names all these companies off shit from Lord of the Rings. You got Anduril, you got Palantir, you got a couple other the sub programs in there. So okay, what's that tell you? It tells you that Peter Thiel is a guy who's steeped in mythology. His view on the world has mythological elements to it. Mythological, supernatural, metaphysical, not science-based, not concrete, not determinist. It's the opposite of what he's showing you. He's showing you an algorithm, and he's showing you computers, and he's showing you systems. But what he's telling you is, motherfucker, I'm a supernatural monster, motherfucker. I'm the Antichrist.
Yeah.
The thing that Sauron was trying to pull off, right? Like, because you look at the, I played Dungeons and Dragons a shit ton as a kid, and as far as like magic rings go, the One Ring ain't really that cool. It's a ring of invisibility, right? But so you think about that, and so Sauron already has power. Sauron owns the entirety of fucking Mordor, right? But everybody knows who he is. When the 7-foot tall monster with the helmet crown comes around, like, oh shit, that's Sauron. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what he wants the Ring of Power for is he wants invisible power. What Sauron is trying to get to is what he represents. He represents like the hidden predator class that's above the visible user interface that we fucking.
There you go. There it is.
That's the fact that we can see Teal means he's not the top.
But he serves them.
Yeah, means he's a consigliere, or he's an action arm. He's been given agency from the whatever it is above him, dude. To act in this world,
Dude, I got a question on that vein. Like, you take these guys that are kind of that we know are just represent their proxies for some larger power, right? Like, take Musk and Teal. Like, dude, both of those guys, Mark Zuckerberg, right? Like, these are fucking weirdos, right? This is not something I have an answer to. I'm asking the question. Like, wouldn't you think they'd find a charismatic, like, dude, like, what if you had a Elon Musk that wasn't a complete fucking spaz? What if you had like a handsome guy that could talk right and seemed smart? Like, if you listen to Elon Musk talk about his SpaceX rockets or whatever, you're like, I'm not sure that he's not mentally retarded. Like, he's not making any sense. He laughs at inappropriate times. He makes stupid jokes. His body is shaped like something like I've never seen a human being shaped like that. There's something strange going on here. What if you just had like a handsome, charismatic guy that could talk? We'd be in real fucking trouble. You know what I mean?
Well, I think so. In order to like pick a dude to do that, you have to be in tune with human social dynamics in such a way that you can do that successfully. And if you're a fucking lizard or a demon, like, you're kind of just shooting your wad out and seeing what sticks, Yeah,
you're right. It might be one of their limiting factors. You know what I mean? Like, that might be what's hard for them, is like plugging in with real living people. That might be their challenge. Maybe anybody that can operate at the level they need them to operate to is so much of a lizard that they just appear like a fucking lizard.
Well, Aaron and I have talked about that before, the physiognomy aspect of this world, where you look at a Victoria Nuland type person from her younger years, and you're like, oh, that's an attractive young lady, man. Like, that's, you fast forward, dude, and that's like murder turtle actual or whatever, it's like she's like a warthog who probably just lives directly off of fucking human flesh. But I think there might be something to the theory that once you operate at the level of basically evil, because there's nothing really else to call it at that point, like, how many normal looking dudes can you find up there? They're probably all Sith Lords, bro. Like,
they're dude. Like, bro, and you see it with celebrities too, like how it's such a strange thing. Like, you watch all these guys, like these, like, fucking name any of them, right? The males, as they age, seem to morph into, like, they look like lesbians as they get older, and then the women become incredibly masculine and hard looking. It's so and of course, like, dude, I'm not one of these people that necessarily believes that all, because there's people like truther people that really believe that every famous actress is a man. And then they'll do these diagrams where, there's things about the male skull and the male clavicle that's different than the female, and they break it all down, and they're like, Jennifer Aniston's a fucking male, and it's like they make a pretty compelling case. I know that that's not one of those things I'm ever going to get resolution from, so I kind of just stay off it. But there's something about, dude, I know what women look like as they age. And then and then I see these celebrities, and you go, oh, maybe they're just trying to do plastic surgery to stay young looking. And I'm like, no, something else. There's a spiritual component to why they look like that.
And I think that there is a link between that spiritual component and the plastic surgery, because it's okay. Going back to Cody and the Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop RPGs, I'm a big nerd for all that shit. One of the games that I really enjoy is called Shadowrun, and in Shadowrun, your character I'm going deep into nerd shit. I hope everybody stays with me on this, but you've got what's called essence, which is like your humanity, right? And so that whole game is kind of like one of the elements of it is swapping out your actual physical body for parts. Like you can put in a bionic eye or a bionic arm or whatever, and every time you do that, you degrade your essence. Like, does that make sense? And does that seem relevant?
Oh yeah. They're
you're trading your humanity for like I don't know. I guess looking like a 60-year-old lizard or whatever the fuck what their plan is, but they're not fooling.
Yeah, it's part of it's part of the Faustian bargain that they make.
Yeah. So
what I'm pulling up here as you guys are talking is I stumbled upon an example of what I think possibly we're talking about. So I'll go down some rabbit holes, man. I got a lot of time on my hands by myself, and so I just see something interesting. I'm like, all right, let's see where the fuck this goes, right? So on a YouTube reel or whatever the show, YouTube short, it was like crime bosses in Monaco, and it showed dudes pulling up, and like Bugattis and whatnot, getting out, and it was like pointing out how expensive their watches are and shit. And so it showed a snippet of this guy, and I was like, who the fuck is this dude? Oh, he's one of the biggest crime bosses in Europe. Like he's like the Turkish leader of the Hells Angels.
Okay.
But, let's just I'll keep it muted, or here anyway, let's let it play for a little bit. Show this cat right here. That's the guy.
Yeah. Oh, he has tits. He looks like a chick.
Right there. Like,
that's weird.
Close up of him, like you see like the work he has done and whatnot. But like, I shouldn't talk too much shit about this guy. But there you go. Dude, that's one of the biggest crime bosses in Europe, bro.
Yeah, that's a weird way. He's got like lady lips. These people are freaks, man.
Dude, like straight up runs like he got his start in like the German underground, and then like he took control of bike gangs, and then like eventually went to Turkey because they don't extradite people. It's like, this dude's fucking legit, man. Like kingpin crime boss, like John Gotti style shit.
Yeah,
and that's what he looks like.
It's a freak show out there, man.
Yeah,
dude. It's also interesting though, because like once you allow yourself to entertain the idea that there's weird shit going on, the world becomes a much more interesting place. You know what I mean? Like we basically do live in like a fantasy, a mix between a weird sci-fi movie and a fantasy movie. Like that's the real, like it really is that way. Like I believe that there are things about our existence and our world that are far way different than what you're kind of programmed to believe. And like part of it's cool. Like, cause dude, I know, now that I know what I know or whatever, I'm in no danger of becoming like one of these creeps. You know what I mean? Like it's just, it's not in the realm of possible. So then it allows me, cause I'm so like selfish about everything. I'm like, I kind of I have the kind of like a radical acceptance of a lot of this shit now. Like I don't honestly get mad about it. I'm like, there's one thing that I get stuck on is because I have kids. So I'm like, I will feel anger if I think of the future and like what the place is likely to be like when my kids grow up and become adults. I'll get a little mad about that, but then I talk myself out of that, and I'm like, look, man, they're not my kids. They're God's kids. And I have a role in preparing them, and I'm responsible, and obviously they're my kids, but they're also their own entity that's here for their own experience that I don't have control over the larger like realities of the situation. So it's like, and a lot of the way I think about stuff, like I have to ask myself, is this like a cop out? Am I just like, hypnotizing myself into making it all feel better? But no, because like at the end of the day, dude, like there's no said Chronos, dude, like time, the ultimate destroyer. Right as we move this way, right behind us is Chronos, and it's fucking eating absolutely everything behind us. Every person we've ever met, loved, cared about, seen is getting eaten by this thing behind us. Some of them are a little bit behind us, some of them are ahead of us. Everything's getting eaten by this shit. And there's no stopping it. Nobody can stop it. No, there's no power to stop it. It's not possible. That's just how it is, right? And so it's like, if that's the case, how hung up on shit like our wars were fake do you need to be? It's getting eaten anyway, motherfucker. Like, all you really have is like your experience right now. And so from moment to moment, and I'm not good at this. I'm angry half the time. I'm like, I'll have, everything's some sort of emergency. There's a helmet fire at all times in my life. So, cause I forget. But when I'm able to remind myself, it's like, yeah, dude, like all you ought to be doing is like maximizing your experience in the current moment, which requires a little bit of foresight because we're not idiots. So we know, hey, if I want to have a good moment, in the future forward, I should be healthy. I should be fit. I should be making wise decisions about X, Y, Z. So as I inhabit this future, it's positive, with the understanding that Chronos is behind me, eating absolutely everything I've ever done.
Entropy, man. Like, it all falls apart.
Yeah, entropy.
Dude,
yeah.
I've tried to explain that to like this young farmhand that we have working on the farm here, man. Like I told him one time out here, I was like, look, dude, I don't owe you a fucking thing besides the truth. So I'm basically going to tell you everything that I wish somebody would have told me. I mean,
that's the best thing you could do for the guy.
Yeah. And I explained to him, I was like, hey man, I wear this as a constant reminder that the clock is ticking. Like, I didn't want to explain to him the Saturnian process that we're in at this particular time. Like, I have explained to him before that if you look north, you'll see Polaris, and circling around Polaris is the Big Dipper. And it's a clock, it tells you when it's springtime. It tells you when it's summertime. I was trying to explain to him how there's like cycles of life, and I think one of the things that we're dealing with this Leviathan is that we're dealing with people that have accepted that like time is the greatest. They said in that Fallout on fucking Netflix or whatever, Amazon, whatever Fallout was on. Yeah, they're like, hey, the biggest weapon of mass destruction is time.
Yeah,
it's in the Lord of the Rings. It's one of the riddles, or it's in the Hobbit. It's one of the riddles that Gollum asks Bilbo. Like it's what is it? Like, it destroys mountains, bites steel, like turns stone into mill. Like it's the great destroyer, but it's also your greatest ally against anybody that you can just fucking outweight, man. So like I think essentially, they do the frog and the pot situation because, dude, if I'm a billionaire, if I'm a secret trillionaire, and me and Aaron are plotting, like, who gives a fuck how long it takes? I don't care if it takes 10 years. I don't care if it takes 20 years. But what interests me, and I'm interested in finding people like this in real life. And I think I have with a few homies, like dudes that are willing to fucking like dedicate themselves to the long game, dude. Like, it's because really, I know I'm going to die probably. I mean, who the fuck knows when? Like, I thought I'd be dead already, dude. I thought all that shit that we were doing was going to check me right out. Right.
Right.
But now that I've made it, and now that I'm looking into having children, and I feel like, Aaron and I are like village mates, right? So I feel responsible, or a responsibility to help his children as well. And then the new neighbor down the road is another Raider, and he's got a young man. I'm like, no, man, like the purpose of the rest of my life is to set these young men up to be a part of this next thing, dude. And to Manly P. Hall talks about these people called the keepers of the flame, man. Mm-hmm. And it's like a esoteric occult type thing, man. But it's like, as the rest of the world turns into Muppets, man, like my interest now is keeping the flame, dude. Like keeping keeping the information like for the people that come behind us, man. Like I felt that way when I would deal with like Marines that were younger than I was. It's like this knowledge has to fucking transfer to the next people, man. Did that rant make any sense at all?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because if you don't download your knowledge and experiences, something else is going on, and those young impressionable people are going to get pulled one way or the other. It's super hard to navigate reality on your own. You kind of need that Obi-Wan or that mentor figure to get you from point A to point B when you're
dude. And these these fucking science freaks, man. I'm like full-time science denier, but they're concurrent to them creating the surveillance state, that we're all going to live in. They're also busy. I just saw some other thing about, their gene editing stuff. Like we're either there now or on the cusp of people being able to like choose the gender, eye color, plus or minus 10 IQ points or whatever. There's all these variables now that they can do with like like it's IVF, but it's like bespoke IVF where they're like manipulating the genes and stuff. And it's like, dude, if they're willing to, so the problem is that like we have this unbridled dedication to progress. Progress doesn't denote what direction we're fucking headed, though. It's just movement, right? So we have this thing where because we can do it, then we must do it, and there seems to be no stopping that. Like once we can do it, we will do it, and obviously that was something we should be talking about more than like Doge or something, right? Like we're focusing on all the wrong.
Yeah.
This is another story, but this is why like I don't care about democracy. It's like I'm like insulted by like people talking about voting and democracy, and I'm like, dude, I'm already disenfranchised because my vote, whatever vote, if I went in and voted, I stood there and marked some box, is immediately counterbalanced by some vote that they harvested in a fucking apartment complex full of old people or something, right? Like it's insulting that's so. Okay, and again, if we could vote, then what I would want to have influence on is like, do we go to war? Do we do gene editing? Do we fucking do we do abortion at the level of like Mayan human sacrifice? Like these are the things, but the things that actually matter, you don't get any access to any of that shit. So it's like, I don't know how we got on the politics thing. It's just like dealing with people in the world. It's like, it's almost like, I don't want to sound like arrogant, but it's like you're talking to like a kindergartner, in their like understanding of how things actually function,
Yeah. And most people's paradigm has to have that structure of like normie beliefs. Because without it, like everything falls apart. Like it's cool that you're like some rich like banker dude, but it takes a small amount of aggressive dudes to take all your shit. And if like it goes back to that veneer of society that I was harping on earlier, where like it's all pretend. And as soon as you lift that veil of pretend, people realize like, oh shit, I ain't shit. Like I'm not surviving the apocalypse. I'm a fucking banker or a real estate agent, or I'm whatever of these like made up nonsense jobs that only like circulate. They only feed into usury. Dude, I don't know. I'm gonna.
Well, I get exactly what you're saying. We long time ago we switched the nature of our economy to a completely financialized economy, meaning most of the capital is generated through these financial mechanisms that don't it's obviously the money that they create. The money is not associated with anything of true value. It's completely fiat, and it's ephemeral. It's just fake. It's abracadabra. I speak it into existence. You know. Now it just so happens that it requires like a violent force to keep. You know, we're exporting the dollar as the reserve currency, and then demanding that people use it. And when they do shit like Gaddafi, and they're like, you know what, fuck that, I would like to get paid in reals for this oil that's mine. We go, well, now we have to kill you. Saddam, same thing. That's part of why we had to kill Saddam. You know, it's like these guys, they fuck up and they forget, dude. It's fun. It's like I have such not respect, but like such a like feeling of affinity for some of these guys like Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein. It's like they had the balls, you know, at least to be like, I think those guys had some integrity, you know, and I think that they, you know, Saddam Hussein, okay, a monster, I guess. I don't know. Like, I just know what I got told, so they would get me interested in going and killing his people. But like, okay, maybe, you know, but like also, dude, you hear that documentary? I haven't seen it yet. I want to. It's like, the prison guards that were guarding Saddam during his last like months, they have I'll try to find out what the thing's called, but all I've ever heard is people references, but they're like, dude, you watch this documentary and you come away feeling like Saddam Hussein, like they're interviewing him and he's making a bunch of statements. They're like, you get the feeling that he's telling the truth. Like that the things he's saying, and he's talking about our government, how we operate in the world, all the shit about he's talking about all the same shit we talk all the time. And and it seems very genuine to the people that watch it. So I'm interested in these people that encounter our like death machine and like try to tangle with us. I have some like respect for that, you know?
Yeah, dude, it's not going to be a Gaddafi or Saddam. And it's funny that like China's doing it. So China has effectively cut the world off from like, they do something like 97 or 98% of the rare earth mineral refining, like for the whole world. They do 75% of the mining part of it. So like anything that goes into a microchip or a solar panel or whatever is going through China. I was actually, dude, and again, haven't had time to verify this because this was shit I read like this afternoon. But there was a gal that was talking to a former SF dude who was like, yeah, we were getting deployed to protect Chinese mines in like 2009. And, you know, that kind of jives with reality because as soon as we pulled out of Afghanistan, they were in there sucking up lithium and copper and all the shit, right. You know? So it's like, man, how, you know, who was approving those ops? Who was letting China get away with that? Like, to what end?
Well, me and Cody are always saying that we think that there's a level of control that's supranational, you know, that's, and it's kind of obvious at this point, like how much of these nation state versus nation state or terror group versus nation state stuff, like we know all the terror group versus nation state stuff is contrived because we now know that the CIA and Mossad are like doing most of it. Okay, fine, but like how much of these other things are contrived? Like how much of, you know, how is it possible that one headquarters element sits on top of the Ukraine versus Russia, or Ukraine, NATO, America versus Russia? You know, it's just like what happened in World War I, World War II. You've got international financiers financing both sides of the war.
Yep.
You know, what they just stopped doing stuff like that? No, it worked gangbusters. They generated the most powerful economic engine that in the history of fucking mankind. You know, I don't think they're going to give it up. You know,
I was thinking about this driving home because Russia belongs to the Bank of International Settlements. It's not like Russia has its own personal, private, usury-free central bank. They belong to the Bank of International Settlements. China belongs to the Bank of International Settlements. David Rockefeller called China like the Great Experiment. Like you can, I guess Nixon was the guy that was tasked for opening up China. Like, dude, they would be broke if it wasn't for us. Like it would be like not the Hermit Kingdom, but it wouldn't be what it is now. You know, So I think there is something to the fact that these places have been set up to create basically economic zones. I mean, I think nations are going away, and I think economic zones are coming in. And everybody's like, "What? Our nation's going away?" I'm like, "Yeah, player, what you talking about?" Like,
yeah, it's already gone in all but name anyway. I mean, what do you?
Some people get to have a nation, though.
Some people do. Some people get to have an ethno state. They get to have an ethno state, and if you say anything about it, you're the bad man.
Right. But with the China thing, there was a dude. Oh, man, I'm only gonna gloss over this because I'll be talking out of my ass. But basically, the long and the short of it is that like China's been manipulating the IMF, the international whatever fucking fund,
IMF, International Monetary Fund.
Yeah, for like 20 years. They did, and like the people that work there like know that they're doing this kind of like stealing from Peter to pay Paul kind of bullshit, and making stuff up, and they just fucking let them do it.
The only way I could see that it's so the grinding of Russia and Ukraine. The only way I could see it is like being like a legitimate type thing, because it's one of those things where you're like, they have 5,000 nuclear warheads. I mean, they have, maybe they weren't at a military footing when the thing started to really just do the steamrolling that they are now. And maybe they did have to spin up, and maybe Putin is being extraordinarily cautious because he does know he's fighting a proxy war with the United States. Yeah. And, if he was to just tactically nuke Kiev real quick, just be like, "Hey, look, fuckers! Like, you know what I'm about, right? Like this is not a NATO country." In The Godfather 3, there's two dudes that break into I forgot that Andy Garcia's apartment, and Andy got him by at gunpoint, and he tells one of them, he's like, "Okay, just relax, hold on for a second," and then he fucking shoots the other one right in the head, and then he's like, "Okay, now, I'm gonna ask you some questions, So if Russia was to go like, hey, everybody relax, everybody hold what you got. We're going to fire a nuclear weapon into Kiev." I just told everybody, who the fuck's going to stop? You know, and then glass the fucking Capitol and be like, what? Like, are we, do people think that we would kick off mutually assured destruction for that? And then the next question, I guess, in this long rant is, sometimes I think mutually kicking off that is what they fucking want. I mean, the only thing that makes me think that Russia might not be in on all of it is how hard they're trying to escalate from our side, and it seems like it's not quite escalating. He's using a very safe seize terrain, move up your big guns, destroy.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to take the bait. Like, they just blew up, allegedly used that sneaky drone attack. But again, me being suspicious, did you see the footage of that? Wait a minute. The state of the art Russian bombers are like prop planes. Like, it looked like they blew up a fucking one of those aircraft graveyards to me. Like, that did not look like, this shit looked weird. Again, it might all be completely real, like they say, but just my spidey senses when I saw those videos, I'm like, I'm like, I don't know, man. I think you blew up some bullshit.
Of those planes, I saw some footage in a place. Some of those planes had like tires and shit on top of them, and the former intel guy was like, "Oh, they do that to because they think it's gonna." Everybody thinks the Russians are stupid. Yeah. They're like, "Oh, they do that because it fools satellite imagery." I'm like, bro, they have satellite imagery. They would know that the outline. So those might be true. Those might be decommissioned shit that they hit.
Dude, I love all that shit with the Russians are just these dumb orcs. I'm like, dude, about all I do when I have spare time is read Dostoevsky books. I'm like, that's a Russian motherfucker. He's smarter than any American I've ever read. I'm like, they're not all dumb. Like, they got fucking some brilliant people.
Well, what they try to everybody thinks Russia is communist Soviet Union era Russia. You're like, no, those were the Bolsheviks. They went in there and they killed the Tsar. Like, Russia, it has been a seat of civilization for a very long time. That Red Square and shit's like at least 1,000 years old. We ain't got shit that's 1,000 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're, I don't understand how, like, these are the people that took millions of casualties against the Nazis and then like shrugged it off and met us in Berlin.
Yeah.
But I'm
That's
supposed
why,
to believe.
dude. Just anymore on a personal level, dude. I'm like, you know what? Russians are not my enemy. Iranians are not my enemy. Like, I don't have any bad feelings towards those people. I don't even have bad feelings towards. Now I'm lying. I was about to say Israel. I mean, I don't like. I feel like I do, but I shouldn't. You know, it's like the government of Israel is causing these problems, and then a bunch of loudmouth people on the internet that I find very, very, very annoying. But in general, you know, do I have a beef, a personal enmity, or whatever with Israelis or Jews? No, I don't. I'm not. I'm not going down that road again. You know, you're gonna have to fucking put me in jeopardy, harm me personally. You know what I mean? Because I would love to go to Iran. I would love to go to Russia. I'd love to. I'm interested in those places. You know what I mean? And I just, hey, look, I'm on this earth for an experience, and you know what? I don't think I want you guys to sign me up for beefs anymore. Like, you have your own fucking beefs, dude. Like, you handle your beefs. I've handled beefs for you. I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah, I'm trying to convince other people to not do it anymore either. Like I do. So there's the paradox, right? Because I do think, as much shit as I talk, man, I do believe that there should be a strong national defense system
For sure. Yeah,
otherwise
you don't have a country.
Right. It's just I don't trust the powers that be. Like, we as citizens should withdraw our consent to any form of like offensive operation that doesn't take place with like 12 miles off our fucking coast, man. Like, we set up some sort of exclusion area, call it whatever. And like we let people know that we violently and aggressively patrol these areas, and that's where you'll see our military. You're not going to see our military anywhere else in the fucking world.
Yeah, but of course we can't do that because our quality of life that American people won't tolerate not having requires us to be in everybody's face all over the place, managing resources, fucking with trade. Dude, and like, as far as the military thing goes, it's like it sucks to see, you know, the military used for, you know, these purposes that are not noble. But it's like, I don't fault anybody for being in the military, because I thought a lot about like why I stayed as long as I did and why I was like miserable not in the military and I'm happy in the military. I know exactly what it is now. Like, once you're, and it's going to sound corny, and while we were in, we like roll our eyes and like make fucking jerk off noises about it. But it's like, yeah, this whole structure, especially the Marine Corps, you know, it is a patriarchal, hierarchical, organized structure that you can learn the rules to and establish yourself in that structure, and things basically function as they're supposed to. That whole like honor, courage, commitment, like, yeah, it's a joke, kind of, but it's not, because generally you are around people that are held to a minimal standard of behavior. Like, no, you will be honorable. Now, we're not all honorable, so everyone's off cheating on their wives and stuff, but all this shit that goes on. But generally, the ethos is there. You're supposed to be honorable. You're supposed to be honest. You're supposed to be upright. You're supposed to be there when you said you're going to be there. It matters how you behave. Hey, guess what? It matters how we all behave together. Hey, we succeed or fail together. There's a lot of, once you get in that system and you get comfortable in it, it's hard to be out in the world where people are shitheads. You know what I mean? So I fully understand why the military attracts people. You know what I mean? And like, dude, and you have a lot of power in there, like, to change your circumstances. Like, okay, like Cody, right? Like, at one point you decided you wanted to be a warrant officer. Well, there's a system in place that facilitates that, and you can access it and go do it. You know what I mean? And we're back.
Yeah, we're just kind of talking a little bit about what is likely to sit at the top of the pyramid. Derek Bros has a really good documentary on YouTube called The Pyramid of Power. And I think he basically gets up to like the technocrats. I'll have to look at it again to see if he, like, where he goes past that, man. But what I was saying is, my assessment is that, you know, the people is the common story told that is that throughout these cataclysms and whatnot, like the Bronze Age collapse, all this type of shit, is that people got wiped out the entire time, and everybody started from zero, like sequentially again and again and again, and that there was no like continuity file between all the shit. And so, like, my assessment is that throughout, the last couple thousand years, people figured out the human psyche. They figured out control mechanisms. I mean, if you look back through history, it basically looks like they've run several matrices, or, like in the movie, the architect tells Neo, like, hey, yeah, we've done this like 6 times,
Yeah.
The agent Smith tells Neo, like, well, first we tried it, and it was supposed to be, everything was supposed to be beautiful, like Garden of Eden style shit, or like some golden age, type thing. I think these different control mechanisms have been refined throughout the years to where these, a few people probably call it a council of 300, I think through proxies and emissaries and fucking cutouts. I think if we were to look at the top people that we're allowed to see, and then if we were to do something like crowdsource ad tech data, this is the type of shit that'll get me smoked. Crowdsource like ad data off of that person, and then we just start spiderweb analyzing out their fucking pattern of life. What we would be looking for is we would be looking for gray men. We would be looking for, like, it wouldn't be anybody you could see. It would be like the gray men that talk to, like, oh, it's talking to the princess or the queen of fucking Monaco or the queen of Denmark or whatever ancient bloodline. But then also over here, he's talking to, whoever
nodes are connecting them. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be looking for Robert De Niro's character in Wag the Dog.
Yeah, right.
And they would lead back to some fairly obvious ones, right? With some people who have been like pinned to be agents to move the thing forward. You'd probably run into the Rothschilds. You'd probably run into was like Medici or Orsini's. You would.
Oh, it's way back.
And then you would start. I think that's who you would start running into, and you might start running into people who are like, look like a nobody in a coffee shop, but that motherfucker is a master of the universe.
Right. Yeah.
Like, because it goes back to secret power, man. It goes back to why would I want the plebes knowing who the hell I am? Like it does me no good. Aaron, what do you think is going on at the fucking top, man?
No, I think that's as likely as anything. Yeah, I don't think you get to know. I think obviously like fame and celebrity and stuff, that's like low level shit compared to what's possible if you think about it. You know what I mean? Like, and I think there's a level of bespoke experience that we can't even really imagine. Like it's funny because we conceptualize it all through our own kind of plebeian morality and plebeian value structure. Like, dude, the stuff that's important to us and that we value is probably not what the people, these creeps, value. Like, dude, all your average fucking schmuck wants in this country basically is to have a little bit of material comfort, raise a family, be considered a good guy. When you die, people say nice words about you and you keep it pushing. Like to them, that's probably like, absolutely nothing. Like these are people who are operating at the level of like, they consider their lifespan here to have been a waste if they didn't like do regime change in 2 continents or something, like that who knows what their values are, like.
So like in psychology, there's this concept called like the hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
And you've got like basic survival shit and then on up to, varying degrees of luxury. And it's almost like you're describing them existing at a whole like other triangle above that, where it's like you not only do you have all of your needs are met, but you're so like they're so met and they're so like you just have everything that you could ever possibly dream of, that now it's like, okay, now let's do color revolutions and eat babies and all that kind of shit.
Plus invert the morality. So like, I don't know how true the whole thing about the Sabbatean Frankists are, but let's just go with when you read that book, Robert Seffer book, everything he says about the Sabbatean Frankists, Sabbatai Zevi and his people. Let's say all that's true. And so for people that don't know, very briefly, these guys were like crypto Jews they basically just completely inverted morality, the regular good versus evil stuff that we conceptualize. So like, you know, the highest virtue was to like child sacrifice and sex orgies, homosexual sex orgies or whatever. Like just basically whatever the worst thing you can think of, that's what they were into. It's just an inversion of our morality. Yeah. So they create a moral hierarchy with the worst possible shit as the highest virtue. And it's like, dude, hard to imagine, but it's not that hard to imagine if you just let yourself be open to the fact that there's people that operate that way. And it's even in your life, like you can just observe some of the people that we have access to, you know, that we see on TV or in our politics or whatever. Dude, it's like I'm not like the best guy in the world, but these are people who are doing shit that I would never do. Like I wouldn't like do things that I know like to fuck over and destroy and kill the lives of like millions of people. But they do it. They rationalize it. All rationalizing is just you kind of convincing yourself that your inverted morality is okay.
I would say it's almost fetishized rather than like simply justified. Where it's almost like even in the Bible, dude, like there's this, it's not enough to just like snatch an evil dude and be cool with that. It's like, no, I got to go after Job and try and corrupt him. And
yeah, right.
It's not enough to just like, you know, we'll grab all the evil guys. It's like, I got to take the good guy and turn him and fuck with him until he becomes evil. And you just extrapolate that to, you know, like countries or societies or whatever.
Yeah, the way that people behave at the top like that, like really, I mean, that was kind of the thing that pulled me out of my atheism, was like abject fucking evil, man. And just, I don't know if it's something to do with like the law of correspondence or like everything has an equal and opposite, you know, but like the level of malevolent and what's that word I'm looking for? We always talk about the banality, like the banality of evil here, like led me towards like a metaphysical understanding about this place, man. And I think everybody on here understands. I think fucking space is fake. I think that's an entirely
yeah, it's super fake. So
I think one of the things potentially that, you know, these people figured out throughout here, and little things in different metaphysical books tell you about it, like, you know, it's easier to fit a camel through the eye of a needle than a fucking rich man into heaven type thing.
Yeah,
they've come to the understanding that you don't get out of here after the love of the material, or like after you sacrifice your fellow journeyers here, like for the material, you probably do get stuck here. So I think the mindset eventually becomes the mindset of like Lucifer, which is better to rule in hell.
That's
than face judgment, man. And I think that's where a lot of these people's need for immortality comes from, and their little 15-year-old blood bags they got dragging around Mad Max style and shit is like, look. And even in Manly P. Hall's Secret Teaching of All Ages, when it talks about magic in there, it talks about black magicians, and it says right in there that their biggest fear is the fucking comeuppance, man, when they got to pay that demon back.
Which is and there's so much like popular stories of mythology and stuff that's around that taking the deal with the devil type thing, and it's like it's crazy that people take that deal though. Like you've got to already be in some sort of like low vibrational, like broken state to take that deal. Like if you're really conscious of, but I think maybe most of it is you don't start out conscious of, dude. Like you hear some of these, like it's pretty common now for like you'll hear these like interviews with like rappers that I've never heard of because I'm not that into hip hop, but it's like these rapper types that like kind of started to make it big and then fell off, and they'll be interviewed and they'll be like, yeah, those motherfuckers brought me in this thing. They wanted me to fucking do all this sick P. Diddy shit. And I was like, fuck that, and didn't do it. So it's like people are kind of giving this testimony that these deals are presented. Now they're not presented explicitly like I'm demonic. But it's kind of that way. It's like, hey, this is what we're about. This is how you get the contract. Do this gay shit. That's the deal. That's, you know, you sacrificing your morals for your ethics and morals for the material is the deal. Whether they say, hey, I'm the devil, here's the deal or not. That's what it is.
We're in the material reality, and the more you buy into it, the more you're stuck. Like you get
yeah. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Maya, the illusion. The more it's like the mirror, Maya, illusion. It's like the matter.
Yeah.
It's all like the same sort of like root words.
Oh.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. I love when you start going on the fucking on the words and shit, man. Like
that was one of the words got me, man. That was one of the things that I mean, just the liquid, the terms revolving money that also revolve around liquid
energy. Yeah, that and the money and energy, currency, charge, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, liquid, frozen assets, underwater, bail me out, riverbanks.
So that's one of the really cool, because not all this like creepy stuff is bad. Like some of it's real cool. Like, dude, it's cool. The fact that there's a coded nature, to the reality, and that you can figure aspects of it out without damaging yourself. Like language is a big one. Like, dude, and like when you get into philosophy stuff, like you learn that, like so I'm reading like this guy Heidegger, right? But Heidegger is German, and he wrote all this stuff in German, and all I can get my hands on, or anybody else that just reads English, is these translations from German to English. But along with the book, they give you this guide explaining to you, like, hey, there's words that represent concepts in the German language that we don't have language for in English, and we do our best to get as close as we can to that concept, but like you can't get all the way there, which is fascinating, because it's like that means that there's German people that grow up with an understanding about an aspect of our reality that I don't have access to, because I don't have the language. So it just shows you how important language is. Like, you live in your language. Your reality in some respects is limited to what you have language for, what you can describe using something other than just your like sense perception.
And it's interesting because English is made up of Latin and German. So why would we not have those? Like, why would we not have words?
So that begs the question: Is that a purposeful thing? Is that like, a way to segregate and segment people off so that nobody gets like one complete understanding? But you can. You can get it, but you have to earn it. This is why, like an educated person, a classically educated person back in the day, when duration was limited to like a certain class of strata of society, those motherfuckers, starting as children, Latin, Greek, dude, like you're because that's how you get access to these other concepts and stuff. Yeah. But you can be an autodidact. You just have to really work at it. And unfortunately, like the other aspect is like the more I get interested in, dude, it's like you can. I don't have the like personal power to really do much more than I'm doing. But like I have this feeling all the time where I'm like, if I didn't have a family, this is the part where I would disappear for a long period of time into the woods or wherever. And like, because I have some stuff I really want to concentrate on and read and like pray and meditate. Like I could very easily disappear into like a monastic style lifestyle for a while, maybe forever. I think about it a lot. Like I fantasize about it, but obviously I have responsibilities and I love my life otherwise and stuff. But I see why people do that now. Like I see what that is. It's like, dude, like these guys that are like fucking insane geniuses like Nietzsche and stuff, like they fucking disappear to write this shit. They don't just like write it during their breaks, from fucking their job at Best Buy. Like these people, for the most part, they have to really fucking plug in and like buckle down and get it done. And we're so distracted. Like nobody has that, I don't know if nobody does, but like, it seems like everybody's going 1,000 miles an hour no matter what. Everyone's in a full fucking spaz attack at all times. Like I don't know how anybody thinks about anything,
Yeah, that's my dream, is to like disappear into a cabin in the woods for like 6 months and just write a novel. Like that's
dude. Yeah.
I'm working on it, but right now I'm doing that bullshit like you just described, where it's like I got my day job working out on the fucking dairies and shit. And then I'm going to school at night for counseling psychology. And then somewhere in there, I try to get my words in on my book. But to just disappear into the woods and disconnect like you're describing is like, that's the dream, dude. That's the fucking dream.
Bro, I can't even get like 30 minutes
Yeah,
without some kid fucking demanding something of me.
but that's its own kind of like special thing too, man. And like I don't have that. It's me and the girlfriend, and we're kind of like, we're talking, we're figuring, trying to plan it in so much as you can, and then like I don't know, there's planning shit too on that level is kind of like almost technocratic or wrong or so, like some shit's just supposed to fucking happen.
Sure. Yeah.
And but anyway, there's shit in the works. But yeah, I would love to disappear.
Well, we're not really supposed to be this like disaggregated. Like this is the first time probably in human civilization that, unless it was fucking way worse some other time, like that, we're so broken apart from one another. I mean, if you were living in like a traditional village type setting, you would have extended family right there. So if you wanted to go on a spirit journey, like, hey, Aaron's going on a walkabout, for 12 days or something like that. Hey, cool. I got Mav, we're going to feed everybody. No big deal.
Yeah, we'll hold it down. Yeah.
I'll keep the hearth fire burning, and if he's not back in 12 days, I'll go looking for him, like we're supposed to be in small groups of close knit families, man. And like this whole thing where like, okay, the fucking boomer shit. Hey, okay, kids, you're 18 years old, go to colleges, completely different sides of the country, and then fall in love and make families there. So there's no way that we can keep any sort of continuity between the family, like, and don't fail at anything and try to come home because that makes you a piece of shit.
Yeah. Completely atomized. Dude, the other thing about like you're describing, like, like Native American and other kind of nomadic, tribal type arrangements, like at a certain age, the men of the tribe, when you got to a certain age, that's what you did. You handed the reins over to, who you've already facilitated a passage into manhood of the younger people. You've gone out on the fucking hunt, or you guys did peyote and then you killed a fucking wolf, whatever you did, right? He's ready to go. You've trained him along. He's got a wife and a kid and everything. And you go be the fucking medicine man. You know what I mean? Like you go out in the woods and be weird, and you have wisdom, and they seek your counsel, and shit, and you learn more shit because you eat peyote in the woods or whatever you're doing. Like that's cool. Like that's, but you'd be a fucking total wingnut in our society if you're just like some corporate businessman your whole life. You get to like 60 and you're like, fuck this. Maybe you wouldn't be. Maybe people do that for all I know, though. Dude,
so I've got the frog poison scars on my arm, right? Like I've got tattoos all up in this area, so I don't have them stick me on the shoulders or any, like, because it's going to be in a place where there's a tattoo, right? So I just went the forearm. So it's visible at work, and I told the last time I did it, I told the guys, like, yeah, I went to a healing retreat and did like frog poison. And of course, like everybody bust your balls about it and shit.
You're like, hippie. Fucking.
Yeah. So going back to that thing where like even like a more traditional way of doing things is like scoffed at. And like, these are the same people that subjected themselves to mRNA,
gene therapy.
Yeah. Gene therapy. And they're cracking on a guy for going into the woods. And
you're a weirdo. You're a weirdo because you went on a healing retreat, but they're in a fucking Jack Daniels to the face retreat, 4 or 5 nights a week.
And actually, I fucking always hated Jack Daniels, man. That shit is nasty.
Well, whatever. Yeah.
I was saying we all been there like at least 10, 15, 37 times, right? Like,
oh yeah. Hey, we're at about an hour 30 and my battery's ticking low. This is a fun talk, but we ought to call it good.
Man. So,
dude, Trevor, this was fun, man. We got to do it again. Like that's I like it. It's fun.
Yeah, man, we shoot the shit back and forth all the time on different messaging systems. But I was like, hey, man, let me just get you on here in real life. And
yeah, dude, there's shit. We should do it again because there's shit that I wanted to bring up that we didn't get to, man. I want to dig in this space is fake shit. And,
well,
I want to know dude. I want to know what you know. Cause,
next time, think of the shit you want to cover, and just like a day or two ahead of time, shoot us a message, and we'll make sure we're thinking about that shit.
Yeah. In parting, we'll leave it with this, man. one of my biggest things with space being fake, man, is the whole idea of an infinite vacuum. Like a vacuum to infinity. We don't even know how far it goes. Like that magnitude of a fucking vacuum next to
the vacuum, but where's the container?
Small blue pearl that we're supposed to be fucking chilling on, right?
It's like expanding, but expanding into.
Yeah, it somehow resists by this force called gravity that they can't replicate in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. The small little blue pearl full of amazing accidents, like explosions that ultimately result in eyeballs and shit. Like what? Fuck you talking about? So stupid.
Yeah. What do you think it is?
What do I think? What is?
If it's not what they say.
Got me, dude.
Just what I would, and we can maybe. Like just real quickly, I would hazard a guess to there's something impermeable or impenetrable that call it a firmament. I don't know, man. Like I would say there's some barrier and nobody's actually going anywhere. They're spending all that money digging underground. That's my guess.
Yeah, I think it's weird like that. Yeah, I think it's like that. Or it's like even like crazier, like super like solipsistic, like there isn't anything anywhere really. This is all just like some sort of like holographic experience, not a simulation. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just know that they lie and they didn't fucking drive dune buggies around and shit on the moon. Like there's no fucking way.
And once I catch you lying about something, I can just assess that you're lying about more things.
Almost certainly.
Like a fucking IED in the helmet. If there's one,
there's more.
There's 52.